You're just too much. Or maybe even that you're cold or that you lack empathy when you're literally like on fire with emotion inside and you're not just imagining it and you're not alone. What if the problem isn't you at all, but kind of a mismatch in emotional languaging? And there's actually a name for this. It's called the double empathy problem. And once you learn about it, you'll never see social interaction in the same way again. So, before we go deeper, I just want to ask you if you've ever thought, I feel too much and I just don't know how to say it. I made something for you. It's a free guide called How to Name What You Feel and Why It Matters. And if you check out the pinned comment, you can get the link to sign up for it. All right, now let's dig in. So, what is this thing called the double empathy problem? The term double empathy was coined by a researcher named Damian Milton in 2012. And he was researching communication and autism. And for years, the assumption in psychology was that autistic people lacked empathy. Not my experience, but okay. Um, but Milton pointed out something really revolutionary. When autistic people talk to each other, communication really often flows very beautifully. It's when autistic and non-autistic people interact that things start to break down. So maybe the issue isn't that autistic people don't understand emotions. Maybe it's that people with different types of brains are speaking really different emotional languages. So let's take a look at this metaphor. If two people both speak English, they understand each other. And if two people both speak Spanish, they understand each other. But if one speaks English and the other speaks Spanish and nobody gets any translation, the conversation starts to break down. And that's the double empathy problem. It's not about there being something wrong with anyone in the conversation, it's about a two-way miscommunication. And it goes way beyond words. It includes tone of voice, facial expression, eye contact, timing, body language. So, one person might think that pausing before answering is respectful. I'm considering deeply what you just said to me. Another person might think that same pause means you're disinterested, annoyed, bored, not paying attention. And then both people walk away from this interaction feeling completely misunderstood. Not because anybody in that interaction doesn't care or lacks empathy. It's because their systems are running different operating styles. So let's talk about how this shows up in autism and ADHD and BPD and trauma. And now, remember, the double empathy problem was coined in response to studying how autistic folks communicate. This is where the concept first originated. And so, autistic to autistic communication often feels very smooth. The rhythm, the clarity, the honesty. But neurotypical people might misread things. So, more direct speech might be seen as rude, and silence might be misread as disinterest. And lack of eye contact may be mistaken for coldness. Meanwhile, you may walk away feeling like the other person was vague or confusing or even dishonest, like just wasn't speaking out the truth. Same moment, two completely different interpretations. Now, with ADHD, the emotions can be very fast, intense, or out of sync with the social script. And people may say you're too much or too sensitive or too impulsive. Now, ADHD brains can miss subtle cues like a sigh, a side glance, or sometimes even sarcasm. And you might feel blindsided by someone's emotional response. They might think you were just rude or just didn't care. One of my clients said earlier today, I thought my friend was really mad at me because she got quiet. It turns out she was just tired. Now, that's the double empathy problem in real life, these different social languages occurring. With borderline personality disorder, emotions can come out really big because for many, subtle didn't really work while growing up to get the help they needed. But intense emotional expression gets misread as drama or manipulation, and that is absolutely not the case. Meanwhile, getting a calm or a neutral reaction from someone else when you have BPD and you're trying to get someone to understand where you're coming from can feel like rejection or abandonment or lack of caring. Both people walk away feeling like the other just didn't get it, or even worse, didn't even try to get it. And with trauma and complex post traumatic distress, um, there's kind of this idea when you survive trauma, your nervous system sometimes goes kind of flat or numb to protect you. And outsiders can read that as being cold or distant or bored. Or you might have a protective overreaction that gets labeled as too sensitive or too unstable. Again, this is a mismatch. It's not a malfunction. Your system may be acting like a smoke detector stuck on high sensitivity, and the people around you may be using a different manual entirely, just the rules are not the same. These types of misunderstandings can happen a lot for folks with autism, ADHD, BPD, and trauma. And for years, society has framed that as you're the problem, you need to change. But what if there's kind of another answer to look at? What if it's just being misread? What if we need to learn each other's language? The double empathy problem really flips that script. It's not a one way flaw, it's a two-way gap, and that gap can be bridged. So let's talk about what helps, because this is not about changing who you are. It's about learning how to feel more seen and helping others understand without having to mask everything. So let's talk about strategy number one. And this is know your style. Whether your emotions come out big and fast, subtle and quiet, or wrapped in logic, that's a style. It's not a flaw. Just realizing you have an emotional communication style can greatly reduce shame. Strategy number two is to translate. And I don't mean you have to constantly explain yourself, but small clarifications can go a really long way. Here are a few to try. When I go quiet, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not ignoring you. Or if I sound intense, it's because I care. I'm not angry. Or I need a lot of detail, not because I don't trust you, it's because it helps me understand. Or when I shut down, I'm flooded. I'm not disconnected. I'm not trying to get away from you. Or maybe I laugh when I'm nervous. It does not mean that I don't take this seriously. Little translations can create more space without erasing who you are, and they help people understand you better. And number three, find your people. Find people who speak your language. It's easier with people who naturally get you, maybe folks with similar diagnoses or shared experiences. Now, that doesn't mean cutting everybody else off and go live on Autistic Island. It just means you also deserve relationships where the translation work isn't always on you. One safe connection can make every other conversation feel more possible. So if people don't get you, it does not mean there's something wrong with you. It might just mean you're using a different emotional language. And the good news, languages can be translated. So if you'd like some support starting to decode your own emotional language, check out the pinned comment. There's a link to that resource that I told you about at the beginning of the video. And I would love for you to like, subscribe, whatever gets this video in front of more people. And I'd love to hear from you about what you'd like to see more videos about. I'd love to get your ideas. And you might want to check out this video over here. In any case, I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care now. Bye.